Hey, what's going on, Box family? We are here today with another DFS NBA Slate for you. How you doing today, Kill Carter? Cash Carter.
Doing good. Got me a green cup because hopefully today we in the green.
Man, that sounds good to me. Sounds good for me. So it looks like we have a 5-game main slate. Looks like there's a 3-game early slate. We'll be doing both today. If you want to get it to us on Twitter at BoxDFS, just tweet us, send us direct message, and you can get our insider information, whatever you need, lineups, and thought process, just numbers, whatever you need. Give us a shout out. But we're going to go ahead and jump into today's slate. The first game we have up is going to be the Portland Trail Blazers versus the Charlotte Hornets. We're going to jump right into it.
217.5 over under, and Portland's 4.5 point favorites. They're seeing a close game here. First thoughts, it's no Dame. What's CJ gonna do? I feel like when it comes down to it, this game, there's a couple of bright spots in the sense of no Dame today. You got to look, where is that going to go? That usage. You got the kid, Anthony Simons, 3,600 today. Put up a 30 in his last game, as far as minutes. And, kid, and in points, so a point per minute. But, he definitely has some Dame in him as far as you could definitely tell they practice. And I definitely like the Simons kid and possibly Melo. Those are my first impressions of the game. What are your thoughts on like Rozier and McCollum?
For me, when I look at this and I look at the Rozier and McCollum it's been priced up today. 8,700, rightfully so, versus a good matchup that we perceive most of the time, the Charlotte Hornets. I thought it was interesting though when I saw Kyrie Irving. There was no James Harden. I thought it was a perfect spot for him. I played Kyrie, and we saw him have struggle with a little bit of Rozier defense. Obviously, Kyrie Irving struggles against nobody, but I thought it was interesting. So it just makes me look at the 8,700 price for McCollum as rightfully so. Now 8,500, I think I would have jumped on it, and usually $200 isn't a big difference. But I think today on this slate, there is directions that I want to go. And when I see the Norman Powell play, I think we were discussing this earlier. A lot of people are going to jump right to CJ McCollum, but who's waiting? Who's waiting to make that spot, that spark in this offense? And I'm gonna let you even talk about Norman Powell a little bit more, because you in our prep today, you actually brought him up, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Norm's played 38 minutes back-to-back games now. They split them, they, in a close game to Boston, they lost by 1. But both games he got up over 15 shots, which is, definitely going to be conducive. We need that usage to be up. It's only been like 21% the last 20 games. With Dame on and off the court, I don't have that in front of me, but you can only anticipate that's a 25% of some sort. I mean, at 6'3", 5K, 35, I want at least like a mid 40 ball, but he's shown 50 point ceilings. So, I mean, he could definitely get there. A team with no Gordon Hayward, doesn't necessarily still don't know about PJ Washington, but I mean, he does have to see maybe a Miles Bridges if they were to be on some switching screens, and so there's still some length there. But I think Norman Powell is definitely the guy that could be waiting in the wings to, help with that usage loss of Dame.
And I think Norman Powell's a wonderful player. A guy I want to bring up today. Definitely looking at possibly playing some Terry Rozier. $8,300, solid spot versus Portland. Somebody on this Charlotte's team is going to have a big game. Terry Rozier, his last game, I mean, what can we say? 52 fantasy points. Game before that, 50 fantasy points. Now 83. Can he keep it going for a third game? It will be seen, and that story will be told tonight. And if he doesn't, right, you want to look at Miles Bridges. You want to look at maybe one of the Martins, Devontae Graham, if he plays, right? Devontae Graham's going to be an interesting guy if he plays.
If he doesn't play, I'm telling you, despite price, then I would feel comfortable playing Rozier, because in this backcourt, it's literally just him. and
Yes.
and Wanamaker, who I believe has a tag himself.
Let's check that out.
He looks good.
3,700.
He looks good to go. He played his last game out here in Brooklyn. Played 16 minutes, didn't do much impressive. But I mean, Rozier here at 83, I'm gonna just put this in mind, like coming from this game, as far as a couple bright spots, Simons is a great value play, but it's not, 100% just a bang. We still need him to go out there and do it. Whereas like a Rozier, he's gonna have to damn near with, no Malik Monk, no Lonzo, no Devontae Graham, if that was the caveat, no Gordon Hayward, I could see Rozier and I understand why his, what he's been putting out, it makes sense.
Nice.
How many shot attempts? He's put up 20 shot attempts in the last 2 games, playing 40 or more minutes. So I don't know shit. As long as he's healthy, I don't see why they wouldn't continue to play him like this. But he has played 40 minutes and done, just a 30-ball type game before. So all in all, I'm saying he is a play. And I'm probably playing Rozier for sure if there's no Devontae Graham. And if there is a Devontae Graham, I think it should be an interesting game, like CJ trying to keep Portland in it.
Well, even still, if Devontae does play, then we have to look at him as a play. And the reason being is because he's only 6,200. And if he's healthy, right, we need that information. But if he's healthy, he's going to play 30 minutes against a Portland backcourt defense, not the sharpest. And you got to think, okay, now Rozier is going on 2 50-point games. Does he keep that up? Well, that may depend on if Devontae Graham is playing. If he's playing, maybe you pivot to Devontae Graham, which many may not do. And then one thing I like to do is stack both of them. And I get whoever has the big game, and sometimes you get the love of both. But I think to finish this game up, we'll talk about the big man, what's going down in the paint. And one guy that you brought up today that you were liking some Enes Kanter or probably some Nurkic. I thought that was interesting in our prep. And what we did talk about is Tyler Zeller, if he is starting, Nurkic and Kanter will be able to have their way on offensive boards and on the offensive end. You have to see now, does this bring Biyombo into the game, right? Because Biyombo's 3,600. With these big guys, Biyombo could see 25 minutes tonight. At 3,600, that's some value you may see on this slate. Cody Zeller at 4,100 could have a big game against Portland. We don't want to rule out Cody Zeller. Could probably cut him, get you 28 minutes. And at 4,100, we know what he can do with there's no because Gordon Hayward is out. Not that really applies too much, but just do they go? They're going to need size out there, and Zeller may or may not start. That's somebody to look at. Like you said, Carmelo Anthony. One thing we did say about Carmelo is we saw his minutes. He was playing about 20 minutes a game the last 10 games, but jumped up immediately when Dame was out 25 minutes. So do we get 26 minutes out of Carmelo today? That would be interesting. You got your boy Robert Covington here, Kojo. You know what I'm saying? 5,800, nice spot. These are all plays, but we will need to hear the news. Did you have anything else that you would like to put on this game? Stamp.
Just the fact that Kanter, like, he's just a guy, if you can get the minutes, it's going to come. Like, he averages 1.13 fantasy points per minute in, like, the last 20 games. So with that being said, if you just equate 35 minutes, that's damn near a 40 ball easily at his 6K price. 40, I'd pay that. It's just a matter of him getting the minutes. Now with, Nurkic is healthy. But Nurkic himself, from what I remember, his minutes haven't been necessarily substantial. 22 minutes, 26, 22. So I know that they're trying to, ease him back too. But, so it's just hard with their shared usage like that. That's the only reason I wouldn't sell out and go to it. But Charlotte's been I don't care what the numbers say. Charlotte's always susceptible to people rebounding on them, just like I say that with Brooklyn. But Charlotte, they could definitely. You could possibly play Nurkic and Kanter. and just get all the big man usage in this game. But, that would definitely tie you up with your utility and center position. So nonetheless, I mean, I think this game is interesting.
Yeah.
You just need to see a little more news, like
Yeah.
a lot of other places.
Okay. Right. We're going to jump to our next game here. Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Toronto Raptors. Toronto is a 10.5 favorite at home today. But one thing we should notice immediately is questionable out. We see a lot of this across this game. And we'll start on the Toronto side. Fred VanVleet, many of us played him last game thinking he would get all the action he needed, I believe, against the Orlando Magic, and he only got 21 fantasy points. So Mr. VanVleet has some hip issues, according to what we see here on DK. We already know that questionable will be Gary Trent, but I expect him to play. So until we hear further news on that. And just starting on the Toronto side, the first guy at the top is Pascal Siakam at a strong 8,800 price tag, which a lot of people are not going to pay for. I think if we see VanVleet is out, I think that's a more reasonable price tag. But if VanVleet's playing, I don't know if I'm gonna get there. But however, we have Kyle Lowry 7,700, a very doable price on a small slate like this. But we do, if VanVleet is out, I like it a lot more. If VanVleet is in, I still like it possibly. It's not too much. 7,700, something we'll look at moving forward in a day. What was your first thoughts looking at this game?
Yeah, I need to know if VanVleet's going to play or not. But whether he plays or not, if he does play, I probably wouldn't touch him. But Pascal, 8,800, the media's been on him, got fined for arresting or whatnot or something like that. And I don't know, just that presence of possibly dude being soft. I think he has to hear this narrative. I don't know if the point comes to an end here, but Pascal definitely is fresh off a situation like that. So, in a spot where we keep hesitating to go to him, I feel like, man, today might be a day we could look at it and just understand there's no other plays for them. If there's no VanVleet, Boucher only plays well when the team's obliterated with injuries. OKC is just one of those teams. They'll let you run. So
what do you see on the What do you see on the OKC side? Since you brought OKC, Lou Dort. I do think Lou Dort's only a factor on the OKC side when I'm looking at if VanVleet's playing. If VanVleet is playing now, Lou Dort has to guard either, one of these fast-moving guards on both, not fast, because Kyle Lowry, trust me, ain't the fastest. But if, let's say, VanVleet is out, Kyle Lowry may get a assignment of Lou Dort defense. Now, does that make me think differently? I'm not sure. When you were bringing up Siakam, does he press? What is going on? Well, if VanVleet is out the game against this type of Oklahoma City team, he can have success though. It's time.
Very well.
Nick Nurse, when we see injuries, he's willing to put Pascal Siakam for out there for 35 to 38 minutes. And what we like in DFS is minutes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of little spots in here where you can get it. I think Pascal, like you saying, just a matter of getting it done, man. Just got to do it. There's a couple bigs behind them that they do have that they can, use and whatnot. But, I think this game, as far as me though, right now, I think I'm good on this game. As far as, you got Baisley coming back. So, whenever these young guys come back, you can imagine that they just get their regular minutes and whatnot. But, which is going to take some of that usage from Moses Brown, who randomly plays well. But he's been playing well with Baisley since he's been back. So, or before when he was back. So, yeah, I do like Dort possibly too. 6'9" is a little much because I ain't warmed up and seen this version of Dort that's been going crazy. But I might come around if I see the results as far as, or I see the path. If I see the path. But as of now, I mean, do you have anything else on this?
I agree with you. Just final thoughts on this game. I'm gonna go ahead and say, Kyle Lowry's in play. Siakam's in play if you just need if Van Vliet is out. I think Siakam's is play either way if Van Vliet is out. But just too much with this game. I don't like too much. I think you could look at some guys down here because there are some injuries. Kim Burge, right? He's 4,600. But I mean that's on the Toronto side. But as far as the OKC side is where you'll see more of the value. We brought up a guy like Maladon. We saw Cole Anthony have a good game against Toronto in his last outing. I think a guy like Maladon, could come out and have a success against a Toronto team who hasn't been doing too well. We could also see in a paint where Moses Brown could have a decent game. Maybe one of these guys. I wouldn't go to your Kenrich Williams. Wouldn't mess with none of these guys. You got Tony Bradley at 4,400. If we find a reason for Tony Bradley to get minutes, we know he could produce. All in all, I'd rather go to our next game.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the next game up. And we're looking at the next game with Houston Rockets versus the Orlando Magic. Looks like Orlando is at home. What do you have on this one?
We got a 220.5 over under with a 1 point Orlando favorite. Close game. Vegas doesn't want to pick a position.
And when Vegas doesn't want to pick a position, we have to pick it. And I see that John Wall is going to be out tonight. I think that's key. We already know what we're going to do. We're going to play Kevin Porter Jr. We're not going to think about it too much. And the reason being, everybody knows he's going to end up being 60% owned on this slate, which is okay. We're going to be part of that 60%, and we're going to make the right plays. And what can we say about Kevin Porter? Anytime John Wall has been out, he plays well. And he at 6,600, I would think that I would like for DK at least made him where he was 78 maybe, and we still would have played him at 78, right? What price would he have been? 85? I still might have played him at 85. They put him at a price where his ownership is just gonna be out, but that's fine. And we'll fall into that category. I think Christian Wood is also an interesting play here. Yes. Mr. Wood, it's somebody we're gonna look more on as the day goes on. I do think I want to get some, just have some more look at how he performs. How does he perform? I'm gonna ask you, do you have anything? What is our the Line Star maybe possibly have, or fair use, any of our analytics have of him? Do you know anything when Wall is out? How does he perform maybe with Kevin Porter?
I don't have any of the on and off numbers like that. I mean, just to your point about Christian Wood, last two games against Orlando,
okay,
put up a 48. Now that was with a Vucevic there. Mm-hmm. This Orlando team scrappy and plays D, and they're just young and don't know better, really, a lot of these players, and they just and that helps them keep them in a game, but not so much lately. I mean, they got that one good win over Chicago, surprised a lot of people, probably lost a lot of people money too on some parlays. But
yeah, man,
I love the Kevin Porter play. Dog coat, been following him for a while. So,
man, isn't he a baller, man?
Some of these players, they just got to get forced on you, though. Like Jayshawn Tate, I ain't never really, no offense, there's no offense. I never had heard of him. But some of these guys just had that stuff that made it where, you knew their names well before they made it, and he was one of them, in the communities, people know. I just find it, Wendell Carter is just 64 right there. Houston is just hemmorrhaging.
Wow. But yes.
Center, And
do we play Wood and Wendell Carter? Right? Like, and this is what I said in we have our prep.
Run it back. Yeah.
We have our prep we do before every show. And it's one of those situations where do Wendell and and Christian Wood have a good game. You know, they're both at the advantageous price, right? 6,400 for Carter, 85 for Wood, but Wall is out. Orlando has been giving, you know, Wendell more minutes. We saw him have some good performances, you know, so we know with this Orlando team, a lot of things are going to be changing. Mo Bamba, questionable, right? If Mo Bamba is out, I'm going to Wendell at 6,400. Possibly, yeah. Possibly. But, you know, I do like that. From this Orlando team, you have Cole Anthony. He had a good game his last outing. We suggested, right, why we brought Maladon up as a low-owned play against Toronto. Well, we see, does the kid keep it going? He's 5,800 against Houston, very well could keep it going. You know, so these are the things that we are looking at. I think Cole Anthony is a possible play, right? I definitely think Christian Wood, Wendell Carter, if we get Bamba out, we get this matchup where I think Wendell Carter is a seasoned enough player in the league to have a good game against Wood. And I think Wood is just going to have to play close to 35 minutes against Orlando with no Vucevic, right? And we know Wendell Carter gives it up. So,
yeah. I mean, if you're going to want some value, you know, in this game, you can go down to Armani Brooks, you know, been getting these minutes these last couple of games with the John Wall situation.
Brooks, yep.
Armani. Very interesting, actually. I've just seen this dude play the other day. I mean, they got a couple little value plays in Houston, I'd say. But mainly my bold. If we had to do that on a chord every slate, every game, like a bold pick in this game would be Terrence Ross. I mean, struggling lately, you know, but he's another one of those guys. You know, we know he can get it done. You know, and he can at 5'9" right now, which is basically 6. You know, if he could get you a 40, which he's done before, you know, he could be in a great spot. You know, and they're in a need of scoring. I don't know if I see Cole Anthony coming out and, you know, necessarily. I mean, he didn't score, but, you know, you got the thing going. You know, Terrence Ross only had 22 minutes. So to sum that up, Terrence is very interesting to me. Just because, you know, I feel like Houston and Kevin Porter Jr. and maybe the bigs in this game are my main focus.
Interesting. So final thoughts on this game. Is there, outside of Kevin Porter Jr., my first instinct with Wall is to stack Wood and Porter Jr. versus a good Orlando matchup, I believe. What was your thoughts on that? Is there anybody else you want to get, or do you not think
maybe
Wood?
You could do Porter and yeah, it's not that I wouldn't play Wood. It's just maybe there's a more advantageous play to be made, like Porter and Olynyk. Olynyk's averaging 41 versus Orlando the last 2 times.
Nice.
And then maybe run Wendell Carter back on the other end, just because if there's no Mo Bamba, boom, and then Olynyk, because either way he's getting the minutes right now, but he's still like $2,000 cheaper.
And Wendell Carter, if there's no Bamba, right? I think Wendell Carter at 6,400, you know, we're just going to look at his last 10 games. I mean, he's 35, 47, 31, 27, 22. You know, playing 30 minutes a game, you know, it's definitely something to look at. You know, yes, we can say he went off against his old team. Will we not all go off against our old team? Now, San Antonio, a more baseline, and not the most up spot as forms of a center. He put up a 31.5. Then he went to Toronto, a 35.25. Wendell Carter at worst, what does he give you? A floor of a 27 with and a bang spot of a 47. So at that price that he's at 6,400, and there's no Mo Bamba, that's somewhere you can go with safety, right? So right now, we're gonna keep all these guys in our back pocket, right? If we pay up for a stud, we're gonna see who fits: Olynyk, Wendell Carter, Christian Wood. If it comes to the end of the slate, we don't have necessarily a stud, we may come back, get us some Christian Wood, plug them in. But I do think I love your thoughts on maybe Olynyk and Wendell Carter if there's no Bamba. Olynyk having a sneak spot because everybody plays Christian Wood. Those are some good thoughts, and I think it's definitely a good place where we could put a stamp and go ahead and move on to the next game. And we got our next game up. It looks like it's going to be Sacramento and Dallas. And what do we have over there on this game?
We got a 231 over under with Dallas 8.5 favorites.
Nice. All right. Well, we might as well jump into it. If we're talking about dream matchups for players, well, we might as well talk about the one player who has been playing subpar, right? Coming off of his best game in a while versus the New York Knicks, but
versus the New York, yeah.
But we have Luka Doncic going against the Sacramento Kings. I mean, if you want to have a good game, well, who do you look for? You look for Sacramento. You look for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You look for certain teams. And coming off a good game versus a tough New York team, Luka Doncic is only rose his price by 100 fantasy points. I think this is an up spot, a fast-paced environment. We didn't spend our money in the last game, right? But do we go ahead and spend on a small slate like this, get the security of a Luka Doncic at home, and hope he gets another 60 ball? I would have to think we're getting at least 55 from Luka Doncic today. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Last go around, albeit 2 years ago, dude was averaging 170, 250. Damn near was averaging 70 a game against Sacramento. Didn't play last year, surprisingly. I'm surprised to see the stats aren't in that. But Luka, we've been waiting for this spot. He got a positive pace differential, but that's every night because they play slow. So that just gives them permission to move the ball at the other team's pace, but that helps Luka. Porzingis, interesting 9K going against the Sacramento team that, no Rashawn Holmes and still no Bagley. It looks like another smash spot for Porzingis. I'm looking at it.
That's an interesting call.
When they got Whiteside down there, still, but
I love that
out of sight,
thought
out of
process.
mind lately.
Let's look at this though. Porzingis is at 9,000. Now, I never want to pay 9,000 for Kristaps Porzingis. However, him and Luka Doncic do correlate. A lot of people do like to say that Luka by himself. I love Luka and by himself when he's fully healthy, when I feel like, but as we've seen lately, he hasn't been as healthy as you would like him, and Porzingis actually helps him on the floor when he's out there. So Porzingis versus, you have no Rashawn Holmes, you have no Marvin Bagley. Now you're getting.
It's going to get into some small ball. That's what it's going to get into.
And so who's going to be matched up with
Porzingis should be able to. I can see Whiteside getting phased out of the game, and like Porzingis still staying in the game. But
it's not like Harrison Barnes is gonna be. Now, what we have to also say is, right, Harrison Barnes used to play in Dallas, so that's gonna be a banger bust spot for him. But he is 6,600, and we'll get more into him later. But if we're talking about who's gonna stop Porzingis, I guess maybe they're gonna put Harrison Barnes on the mark. Whiteside, and they have the other guy down low. What's his name? I forget his name. Damian Jones. Where is he at?
Yeah.
Do you see him? Where's Damian? I don't see him.
It's 3K.
And you have to think, who is going to match up with Porzingis, who can stroke it from that 3-point line, extend the defense. Now, this game is honestly a place, even we'll stay on the big man, but even De'Aaron Fox, he's 10K now, but you're going to have to pick your poison here. But Porzingis is tough to put in. We really would need to go ahead and go back to one of these games and go ahead and plug us in a value play from that Charlotte-Portland game.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, you got Mo Harkless, 3.7. He's probably going to play more with no Rashawn out, as Barnes is the only forward pretty much on the team bigger than a small forward or can play bigger. They got Terrence Davis, which is interesting, but I could definitely see Sacramento trying to go smaller because that's where they're going to have all their, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, De'Aaron,
Halliburton,
DeLon Wright now, apparently.
Right, exactly. DeLon Wright coming out of nowhere, and just
give him some good backup minutes. Just he can definitely pop for them 30 balls off that bench. Halliburton definitely eats into that, but Sacramento's good on threes and down. That's where does that lead? That leads
that leads to a
fact
Porzingis with nobody really there to to stop him.
I'd love for Whiteside to make us eat our words because we definitely just writing them off. But
what type of game does make Whiteside get onto the floor, right? What do we see that's going to make Whiteside come into this game? Now, if they're gonna they're gonna start Porzingis and Cleveland most likely. I would think is Cleveland. Let's look at Cleveland.
He just played pretty good at a 3-6 tag against Washington on the 14th. But what happened then? Washington.
Exactly.
I mean, Russ has been playing. Russ has been playing. Maybe it was a debut. I don't know. Russ was playing, so maybe he was getting a lot of rebounds off of bricks. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Hey, and you got to think, right? So
he got 9 rebounds.
Yeah. You got to think, so Porzingis is going to be in a position where no matter what big man he's going against, and while we're talking about this, it's hard not to, what do we have to do? Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to play Kristoff at the power forward. It's hard. And then what we're saying is against probably the best matchup you can get, there's a chance that you may stack Luka and Porzingis. Now, in your lineup, De'Aaron Fox, I love De'Aaron Fox in this spot. However, Dallas is one of those defenses where they control the pace. Luka's slowing it down. He's controlling the pace. He's bringing the ball up, doing his thing. Now, I love power point guards versus Dallas, right? Trae Young's, Dame Lillard's, and Fox is definitely playing at that caliber this year. However, there's always the other side of that where they may play Finney Smith on Fox or try to get you with a Richardson or Josh Richardson. Jalen Brunson is even a decent defender. So these are things we have to look at. But if we're looking at our current build right now, I had to force in the value of Anthony Simons if he starts, right? We want to get this Portland starter. We had to go back and throw some value in for us to be stacking Porzingis and Luka Doncic on his slate. But there's one thing we have to think about. Is there a way to run this back with a Sacramento guy, or should we run it back with a Sacramento guy?
I don't think I will. You got some solid plays and a Halliburton maybe just trying to keep up with the offense on the other side.
But even he's priced up. 6K is still, yeah. So,
in my opinion, like if I'm not going De'Aaron, if you're not going De'Aaron in your lineups, I don't know really where. You can go here Barnes possibly.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield's there, but he's always in that price range because he can never bust through it.
Yeah.
But we good. And
yeah. And I think we'll move to the next game.
Exactly. I think we just Minnesota and the Clippers.
Right.
With a 231 over under and a 10-point spread for the Clippers, which isn't too surprising, but Minnesota's definitely been that team that can mess up the spread. They still have a superstar and one rising right now in Anthony Edwards. Kawhi's a game time decision. As of now questionable? Yeah, something on Kawhi. Is he playing?
Well, for what I'm seeing, is Kawhi is questionable in the sense that he may make his way back to the floor today. And that's something that we can go ahead and pull up and see the latest on this. What does DK have? See if they have any updates. But we'll have to check Fantasy Labs, RotoWire, things like that. Leonard's questionable Sunday's matchup against Timberwolves. He's missed, another game due to foot soreness. Now, playing ball, a foot soreness can be mean a couple of different things. However, with some rest, some good, ice, IV. I said IV, ice treatment, different things. We could see Kawhi come back in a good spot versus Minnesota and have a decent game. Now his price is $9,500. Kawhi, for me, I might not go there, but I don't, Karl Anthony Towns, a lot of people think, I hate to jump straight to Karl Anthony Towns, but he is here at 10-6, and it's one of those spots where you want to say, yes, the Clippers is a good spot. Then you play a big man versus the Clippers. You're like, oh, wasn't the greatest spot, right? So I would prefer to go somewhere else on Minnesota. And that spot is definitely going to be Mr. Anthony Edwards. No, I'm joking. Never pick small forwards, anything like that. Cat actually would be the spot that I would be considering. I mean, where would you go on the Timberwolves versus the Clippers?
I mean, you could possibly go some Rubio or Anthony Edwards. I think going PG though is looks really good. PG, has been on somewhat of a tear. Been on a consistent 50 baller up last 5 times out. He got a Minnesota team here that's probably Anthony Edwards probably will guard him, but between him and Okogie in that lineup right now, right? I don't even know if I would if I could get to Cat at that 10-6. I mean, it's not like it's not a fair price. If he puts up like a 55, a 60, that would pay it off in my mind. But, I definitely would consider Anthony Edwards if there no Kawhi, just PG.
That is a strong statement you made right there. And the reason I say that is that 7K, Anthony Edwards has been playing heavy minutes. It's not a great spot, right? I at first thought, I'm looking at him, I wanted to fire him up. Then you see, well, if Kawhi and Paul George are healthy, but what can you say? I mean, he's gonna get you in the minutes. He's gonna get you at least 32 minutes in my mind. And but it is the Clippers. His minutes have went down. But against tough opponents, Milwaukee, Miami. I mean, but Anthony Edwards at 7K. If PG or Kawhi is out, it's a more advantageous spot. I like the Rubio call. Interesting. What do we expect from Rubio in the match? 32 minutes
5-1.
last game. Okay. Minutes jumped up last game. You got to wonder. 19 minutes. Before that, 32 versus Miami. I'm sure we could go look at what may have happened. Rubio, you got Beasley's out. I just think, Beasley, I don't even know the latest on this guy. Have you heard anything about Beasley? I know he's always in and out. Oh, wow. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Okay.
D'Lo is playing.
D'Lo should be playing. Russell's healthy, 6. And then, he's got D'Angelo Russell, 6,100. This is definitely a spot. You could get you some D'Angelo Russell. Now, I would hope these minutes will be higher, but his price is 6,100 today. So it's more like, if you're gonna take a chance on somebody,
right. This will be the time. Damn near.
Yeah. On a 5-game slate.
I feel like D'Lo's already seeding that to the team though. Like, there's Cat, then there's Anthony Edwards, and then there's D'Lo. Even though D'Lo is like
more
right now
established, D'Lo is actually. D'Lo has had successful years in this league. Now, does he get the minutes? Right? Does he get the minutes? And I think that's the question, right? But outside of that, I don't think we are going to question, can he put numbers on the board against any against anybody and everybody. You know, these days we talk a lot about the Kawhi Leonard, the Paul George defense, but as guys get older, their commitment to the defensive end is not as much. We still got a guy like D'Lo, if I'm right, is only 28. You know, not 28, still in a decent, decent form, even shape. He could have a good game versus the Clippers. Let's say if right. Where's the offense coming from? Everybody's struggling. Well, you got a guy, an instant offense guy like D'Angelo Russell. So we're gonna go ahead and plug him in as a utility. Just because we're trying to give everybody the plays they need to take it down, right? And from this game, I think D'Angelo Russell could be the late night hammer that could really hammer in the remainder of this slate for us and the squad. What do you think about what we have so far?
I like the thought so far. Do you have anything on Rondo? Like what he's been like? Is he?
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying about Rajon Rondo. We see when Reggie Jackson may not be having the best game. They'll bring Rondo in, who's been actually producing since he's came with the team at a decent rate. Reggie Jackson at 5,700, also as you said in prep, was a nice play. I think it's also something we can look at. I think the Clippers, depending on health, right? You got Zubac. I mean, but I do think Rondo at his price range is definitely in play. 4,100.
Agreed. I like the way it's been put together. Let's see this.
So, right now, just looking back, at who we have and think that are good plays for us today, and that the team is definitely gonna have interest in. And if you just want to join the team, reach out to us at Box DFS. Try Box DFS Investments. Check us out on Twitter, YouTube. Just give us a subscribe or a tweet or just DM us, and we'll be more than happy to let you know what we're going with and discuss joining the team. What did you think about us with the Kevin Porter Jr. Versus Orlando, Houston versus Orlando, Norman Powell, Porzingis, Anthony Simons, Luka Doncic, D'Angelo Russell kind of as a core at this point in the day? What was your thoughts?
I like the direction of it right now. I like Olynyk to be added to that core of what I'm throwing in.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that's where it comes down to the nitty gritty for people to, you're gonna have to find that value with that core right there. Just to finish off, I got a couple in mind. And we'll definitely be posting to the chat or to the Twitter account, excuse me.
Before a lot, for sure.
Once a lot of news comes through, we could possibly clear up.
For sure, man. Well, just final thoughts on this slate. I guess, there's a couple games you want to tackle. I think we can get a lot of value in Portland, Chicago, Houston, Orlando, Minnesota, Charlotte. You can get you some plays. OKC, Toronto. We're waiting on some injury news there. Sacramento, Dallas. Obviously you can get De'Aaron Fox in there. We love some Fox. But all in all, that's what we got for you today, guys. And much love from the Tri Box family, and we'll be seeing you soon. Holla.
Good luck.
Good luck, sir.